Exile, you have wandered far to arrive at the shores of my lake.
Hi, Zizaran here with another video, and this is going to be the TLDR of the patch notes and, the reveal stream and everything like that. And there is a lot of stuff here, a lot of cool things. Honestly, parts of the things in the update honestly feels, for those of you that watch all my videos and have seen like my wish list or my feedback on Arch Nemesis and feedback on Harvest, is pretty much like they took my shopping list and put it in the game. So I'm obviously very excited about that. And we're going to go through the cliff notes in this video. So there's a lot of changes to the core systems of Path of Exile that should make the game better and fun. There are some struggles with, we are losing life tap for skills like, Divine Blessing, Malevolence, and things like that. Obviously, I'm very worried about that because we are in a bit of a struggle right now with not that many defensive system. And there was a bit of a pullback on that. To start with something negative in the patch notes, I do feel like they missed the mark a little bit about that. And I would say it is mostly positive for me in this patch, but they missed the mark a little bit about that because they were like, oh yeah, spell suppression feels really mandatory. I mean, there's a reason it feels mandatory. It's because your mobs hit like trucks. And they just made spell suppression harder without really making any other defense more accessible for the ones that are now losing spell suppression. That was like a big thing for me on the negative thing. Other than that, so much cool stuff announced. ExileCon has been announced for next year's summer, and I will be there. GGD messaged me and said, hey, we're flying you out if you want, and I'm obviously going to accept. I would love to be there. And they are going to give us more news for the PoE 2 there. So I'm guessing it'll be pretty large playable beta. I wouldn't be surprised if they're announcing that, playable beta starts that league or something like that. So let's first talk about the Lake of Kalandra mechanic. As you can see in the background, you're like walking around and you can see pillars. It's sort of like you're exploring a map, right? You're unlocking areas. It's a little bit like Synthesis, but you're building it. Hopefully it'll be slightly smoother than Synthesis was, and it looks like it will. But you're like building an area and you kind of want to like snake around. And the further you go, similar to Delirium, it's kind of like Synthesis, Delirium. They're like using a lot of things I've learned in the past here. The further in you go, the more rewarding and more dangerous it'll be. So there should be like clear limits for players. You're like, well, if you're this strong, you probably shouldn't go to 13 danger or 6 danger or whatever the numbers were. It looks like you can construct your own content and measure your own difficulty. So very, very cool. These seems to be tradable as well. And reward structure is very based on risk. Like there will also be, you get to choose between 2 items, and one will have some negative mods, the other will have other negative mods. Like there seems to be 3 negative and 3 positive mods on each item. It doesn't seem like you can get 6 positive mods and get super lucky. I don't think you can get 4 and 2. I'm assuming that'll always be 3 positive mods and 3 negative. And I probably haven't explained this well enough already, but if you can see in the image in the background, some mods will be doubled. So like 90 life would be 180 life on a ring. But then instead, it might give you minus 160 mana or minus 70 lightning rest. Now, for some things, minus can be good, right? Like Doriani's chest can get negative lightning rest, and that'd be a good thing. And you can end up getting stats negative, like, oh, accuracy on a spell build, that won't matter, right? So we can get some insane things here, and you will be able to find special ones where you can put in your own item, and it'll mirror it. And 3 of the mods, I'm guessing, will be positive and 3 will be negative. So you might get some insane shit there. There is Kalandra's unique ring, which is literally the same as if you were ever... So people always ask me, Zizaran, what would you use a mirror on Soul Safan? And sometimes I'm like, well, maybe if I got a really insane ring. And that is basically what this ring does. It literally mirrors your other ring. And for unique rings where, it says like, oh, if it's on the left ring, it does seem like it will double what the left ring does. You won't be getting both left and right ring. If you put a Chevron's Revelation on your left ring and then mirrored it with a Kalandra unique ring, it does seem like you would get 250 flat energy shield. So pretty cool. Interesting for things like Snake Pit as well. Just very, very interesting. And I'm wondering how rare it will be. So they've also added a new endgame mechanic. Like they have promised sort of a endgame or map related mechanic will be updated or renewed or put in the game each patch now. And so far they're keeping to that promise. So the Atlas Memories is like a quest line. It looks like you're gonna you're going to drop something, you're going to get a 4 to 5 map chain, and you get these maps for free. And sadly, it does not seem like the Atlas tree is going to affect this, so it'll be similar to, running a Keurig map, which is quite a bad downside because the Atlas tree is insanely strong. But you are getting these free maps, and hopefully it'll be worth it. It looks like there's going to be a boss at the end because there was like 4 markers, with the last one being like boom, a core one. But that would be interesting. Be cool to see what the rewards are. We saw like a lot of harbinger. It'll be a lot of breach, etc. So interesting to see. Ultimatum is back as well, and now only the taskmaster is back. So we now have a way to fight the boss. I don't think we fully know what. I think he said something about Val content. So maybe through a Zeri, maybe through incursion, maybe through any Val content. But we now have a way to fight the taskmaster, and they haven't fully confirmed it, but it does now seem like Hate Forge is back fully unnerved, as well as all the other items. Like there was mentions of changes to some, and that was just the wand or whatever, the wand that reserves. So since that has been changed and nothing else was mentioned, I would just assume that all the other uniques are back in their full complete form. So we have Hate Forge, I'm assuming. The rest of the league will hopefully return in the future, and obviously a lot of people liked running in that circle. My unique is being put into this patch, and it was quite hard to design this. I have a separate video where I go a little bit more in depth. Obviously, it was quite restricted what you can make too, because it's supposed to be very unique. It's supposed to be from a pinnacle boss, and you can only theme it around that. So I couldn't do fire damage mods since I'm doing Uber Elder. And a big problem is when you're already killing Uber Elder, you can kill every boss in the game. So what do you do? And I decided on I wanted to make a boss swap unique. That's going to be good for future builds. Obviously, it is more aimed at hardcore players. If you are the type of softcore player, when you get to the point that you literally clap a boss in 0.5 seconds, this is not the unique for you. It's going to be for people actually playing the game and engaging with the mechanic and not just one-shotting the boss. So this unique is supposed to incentivize really, really tanky builds, or giving builds that don't normally kill bosses a chance to do so. We do have a video specifically about this, so check this out. There are 4 new skills. There is an Ignite or Poison Mark. There's a Shock AoE skill, and basically a Shock Bladefall Blade Blast. And there's the Shock skill to make enemies deal less damage and be shocked. So I'm very, very excited about Lightning Conduit. I think this could be really cool, especially maybe on Trickster. People have been talking about that. But I'm very excited about Necro and playing that at a similar playstyle of DD. Because Necro has a node where if you spawn a corpse via Desecrate, it'll shock everything around it. And so Beck said that it will consume the shock and it won't instantly reapply. So you might have to desecrate, shock, even on bosses. But this could be really, really cool and definitely something I'm looking into League starting if it looks insane. If it doesn't look insane, it'll be something I'll do as a second build, but I'll hopefully make a video about it as what I would do. And I'd particularly look into making sure it has a backup skill. Because whenever you are making a new skill, I would probably never, ever League start something that I don't have a backup for. Like, okay, if this is dog shit, at least Arc is okay with the same setup. Arch Nemesis was basically reworked straight out of my shopping basket. For those that have seen my Arch Nemesis video, I was suggesting or hoping that they would make a lot less rares and that they would keep a lot of their initial rewards. So, Solarius would convert, Kitava would convert, and everything like that. And they would be super rewarding, but they would be super beefy and dangerous, right? And that is exactly what they've done. They've downscaled the amount of rares now, but they are now supposed to be super rewarding. And that is exactly what I hope for. So I hope they've nailed that. But yeah, literally 1-to-1 what my video was hoping for. For the Beyond rework, I couldn't have even imagined this, but this was such a cool way to do it. It is obviously they want to get rares a little bit out of the game. It was a little bit overwhelming and has a problem with aura stacking and made some problems with Arch Nemesis as well. And problems with that they couldn't make as strong rares, but now they can. Beyond Rework now has removed the rares in that form and has added the Scourge into the game, as well as Scourge bosses. And that also means that the Crangled currency is back in. So that is pretty neat. Excited for that. Harvest Rework is also another one that is a 1-to-1 from the video. And one of the biggest problems I've always pointed out with Harvest and what I've complained about is Harvest is telling you you have to craft now. And they are fixing that problem. They are going to now give you like juice. And then you will just pay for crafts, which is also what I was hoping for. Now, they have said that they are keeping augments, but it seems like Even things like augment fire will probably be augment fire, but remove something else. So a big risk, and obviously not as powerful as we would like. But it is obviously GGD does not love deterministic crafting in their game. Not super happy with what it sounds like they've removed in power from the crafts there, but I do see the problem of leaving it in as well. So we'll just play that by ear, see how it is. I did see that more likely is still in, and that is the most important craft. That is how I make the majority of my gear. And obviously things like Reforged Life is still very strong. Now, this is kind of dumpster fucking Delve for another league, and there was no Delve changes, so I'm assuming Delve gets reworked next league, because obviously it does seem like they like Delve quite a lot, but it's obviously not in a good way right now. This does also solve the problem of TFT for those that don't like doing third-party things like Discord, because now you can just buy the currency and craft with the Life Force. There is a lot of balance changes in here. There was not really any more buffed skills. There were a few buff skills that were interesting, things like Sunder, the Ballista thing, and a few others, and Blazing Salvo. There were like 5. But those 5, I was hoping there would be 30 to 50 around the level of those 5, like similar to Sunder, because the Sunder one looks kind of neat now. Definitely has piqued people's interest in it, but I was hoping 30 to 50 would get that level of buff and not the cleave version of +2. I'd probably rather they didn't even mention it at that point. Like, yeah, we'll get to that later. I would rather prefer that than I'll give it 2 radius, bro. I'm a big fan of nerfs. But the people who criticize me for that, I'm also a big fan of buffs. I just really like a big shift. I would like an equal amount of buffs and an equal amount of nerfs. I just want to mix it up. And speaking of nerfs, they did do some really good nerfs. Seismic is kind of dumpstered, and DD is definitely dumpstered. It'll probably be a good mapper and good for getting gear, but I think it'll even start struggling as early as tier 6 to 11s. And I think Pinnacles are going to be a long 20-30 minute fight. Now, they'll still be tanky, but yeah. Both Seismic and DD, whether they work or not still, and Seismic definitely could still work, they now seem like skills that you're not going to feel dumb as fuck for not playing. And Seismic was definitely in danger, but they added some more nerfs in the patch notes, reducing damage by 30%, as well as removing some of the focus duration from the helmet. So that's sort of triple or quad tap to Seismic, and that really does help. They have changed Divine Orbs and Exalted Orbs. I am a huge fan of this. This is actually you know how sometimes people say unpopular opinion, but it is a popular opinion. My unpopular opinion is uniques should not be divinable. This is a bit more of an old school mindset as a D2 player, and I know modern gamers don't really like this, and a lot of you like min-maxing. So I would personally have loved to see some changes to uniques that maybe it wouldn't make sense for, like Mage Blood being always 4 flasks. But then other uniques not being divinable at all, so that Divines was something for rare items only, and that uniques would then be really exciting. Oh my god, I dropped a top roll. This is worth so much. I'm a big fan of that. I know a lot of people aren't. But either way, they have made Divines a lot, not really rarer now, but they're used more, and we can't get them from vendoring 6 things. They now instead vendor for 20 fusings. And all the Exalted Orb recipes in the crafting bench now use Divine Orbs instead. And they did confirm what I've been saying for a long time, which is Exalted Orbs and Divine Orbs have the exact same drop rate. You're just luckier or unluckier some leagues. Like, I've had leagues where I've had no Exalts and loads of Divines, and vice versa. There is also a big Trickster rework. One of my favorite, if not the favorite. It would be a close toss-up between Inquisitor and Trickster for me. I'm just thematically very cool. I quite like the Trickster rework. I think it's definitely probably not like a top 3 or top 5 ascendancy now, but I'd say it is a pretty good step in the right direction. The mastery thing is really cool. That is an insane amount of recovery. I might actually make an entire video on the Trickster rework, but we'll see. I think it's quite interesting, all the things they've done there. It is very speed-based, it's recovery, and it still works really good with Ghost Shroud. So it kind of gets an extra ascendancy points by Ghost Shroud being on the tree, because obviously we do have the whatever the thing that adds energy shield and evasion. We do still have that, and it is quite good. The new empty X's are really cool, especially this one. Look at it. Like, it's just a big explosion. It looks beautiful. For the rest of the patch notes, they did post all the unique changes Or maybe they've done more and we just haven't seen them yet. But loads of unique changes. I went through all of them. A lot of these are leveling uniques, and I like pretty much all of these changes. Now, I do hope that we get to see a little bit of an endgame pass. Things like Comb's Heart, etc., aren't really used. And, I think it would be cool if Comb's Heart dropped with 500 to 1,000 life. Static, undivinable. Yeah, I do hope we see more unique changes over time, but I think uniques will always get dated. And I think that is the price we pay for how unique our rare items are. I don't think unique items will ever, unless they have insanely rare mods or insanely unique mods that don't appear anywhere else, um, stay relevant forever. I think it's very difficult for that to happen. And I think just updating over time is a good thing to do. I love how many level uniques that they've done, and I feel that's a great place for uniques, that they're like a stepping stone to get into things. Like, I see so many Path of Exile players shit instantly on every unique, but every unique doesn't need to be best in slot. It's so great to have like cool stepping stones that are exciting to drop early, and then you replace them with our actual unique or rare mods later. Bringer of Rain being one of the really cool examples. Like, just such a cool item. It looks cool. It smells good. It's just really cool. It's honestly one of my favorite items in the game, and it now is like level 30 on all the skill gems. So pretty cool 6th link early on. Honestly, probably the biggest change was Death Rush. That is absolutely insane. And it basically opens up adrenaline for everything. Now, this isn't just going to like keep you immortal on champion. You need to lose the adrenaline to be able to gain the life buff on it. But it is very, very strong getting adrenaline on everything. And we don't really have a source for this for most things. So very, very good. There was an alarming bug fix about Lightning Strike, but this was confirmed on Reddit. It was just a bug where Lightning Strike could sometimes hit twice. They're not talking about the attack and the projectile hitting. That still happens. There was another bug where it could basically triple hit, where the projectile could somehow hit twice. So, Lightning Strike should still be very strong. A lot of people were worried about that. And there were a lot of other bug fixes, some that seemed unintentional or things that we thought was intentional already. The Maven Beam, previously, if you got hit by it, it would disable all your regen. However, you could still use life recovery that was instant. So life flasks. And everybody thought that was intended, just like really, really bad for regen builds, and you now had to be really careful. Well, now you cannot recover life in any way whatsoever. If you get hit by the Maven Beam, you might die. Very, very likely will die. So, very, very scary. You have no recovery. Oh, and Seismic got another nerf in the bug fixes because the chance to poison on daggers, that was supposed to be local. That was never supposed to apply to spells. So, yeah. Overall, pretty excited for the patch. It definitely seems like a meta change up. The only thing that I can think of the builds that I really enjoyed that is still standing is Explosive Arrow. It gets a 20% nerf and a 10% buff. So Explosive Arrow hit portion is buffed by 10%, and the Ignite portion is nerfed by 20%. Definitely should still be a powerhouse. And that is a nice, comfy build starter still for a lot of people. And it should feel even nicer early game, because early game on EA, for those that don't know, you actually don't do Ignite until like 70 to 80, sometimes even 85. So that is pretty great. And yeah, we'll make sure to have a lot of league starters for you guys. We'll try to do something for the new shock skills. Obviously, I would like to spawn with Lightning Conduit. However, we're only going to do that if I think it looks super solid, and we will make sure to have backup skills that if they are, for whatever reason, a dumpster fire, you'll be able to swap one-to-one with very few regrets. That's what we've learned from new skills in the past. So yeah, overall, very excited about everything, and looking forward to hear about the boss skill race and more information about everything and what kind of reward. They did say that they were not going to do more unique creation rewards for this one. So I hope you guys enjoyed my TLDR of the patch notes. The raw version of me reacting with Steelmate is up on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Thanks for watching. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.